So I'm going to get started with today's webinar. Today's webinar is called How to Enter Retail Products Like a Pro, and we are going to be covering a number of different topics. We're going to be covering the arts and consignment items in there, the giftware coupons, printed documents, and reports, everything that we were advertising before to you. So what I want to do is start out with the main menu in FrameReady. The retail products section is located down in the lower left corner of your screen. And the retail products is not just for art, it could be for consignment art, giftware, paint supplies, anything that you sell. We have customers who sell furniture or antiques, and they've included that into the product file as well. And one of the big things that you need to know about the products file, and I'm going to click on the icon to go directly to the products file, a little tag with a gold ribbon, and the biggest decision people need to make is the categories. What are the categories that you are going to have in your listing of products? So it could be any of the things that you sell. It could also be things such as coupons, discounts, verbiage that you have, and they all are going to go into a category. You do not need to give your categories the name of framed in front of them, because when you are converting a product to frame it, if you have the category of photographs, FrameReady will put the word framed in front of it once you framed it using the FrameReady structures that are in here. So choose what the categories are that you want. I know in some cases people had said that they had art supplies and they broke it down into brushes, paints, canvases, etc. And then later realized that, you know what, I just wanted to have one category that's just called art supplies, and that's it. So give some thought, because your reports that you're going to look at are going to break it down into those categories to let you know what has sold, what the amount is that's coming in for these things that you are selling. So let's start out by creating a new item in FrameReady. You can do that either from the products file by clicking on the new item button, or you can go directly from the main menu and simply click on new product. Once you do that, it's going to automatically generate for you an ID number. So this is the item number for you. And if the product already comes with an item number, then you want to write over top of that number and change it to whatever the number of the product is. If the product also comes with a UPC code, then click in that field, use your barcode scanner to scan in the UPC, and that will autofill that item. You will be able to look up the item by either UPC or item number, either one of those. But if the item does not have a UPC, this number becomes the barcode. So any artists who are dropping something off for you, you've got an identification number that also is a barcode and is a way for you to track what they brought in. The next thing that you want to do is enter in the title or description of the piece. And this could be, if it's a title that it has already, that's great, go ahead with that. Or this may be something that you have to create to say, this is what it is right now. So we're going to say Dancers in the Sun, and this is going to be a photograph that someone brought in, or it could be a print. And actually, let's just say that this is a print. Okay, down here, the field has gone automatically to the wholesale section. Now, if this is an item that you have purchased, then you're going to enter in what it cost you to purchase that item. You have two choices on creating the retail price. If you want to enter in a markup, then you can do that, and it will automatically calculate the retail price for you. And then if you did enter it in incorrectly, it's automatically going to change the retail price. So that's one option that you have. The other is to say, I'm not going to use the markup at all. I'm just going to type in the retail price that I want to charge for this. And it's that easy, just type it in. I know some of you are probably thinking, would I be able to go backwards on this? And the answer is no, you can't enter the retail price and have it calculate out the wholesale amount. Once you've entered in the wholesale cost and the retail price for your item, over on the far right-hand side is the bright yellow quantity box for what do you have on hand. If you have several of these prints, then you would want to enter in the quantity. And as the quantity is sold, it will automatically be moved over to the quantity sold field on the right-hand side. The other items that you may want to fill in here is that if this is a good item that you want to keep in stock, then you could say if the quantity on hand falls below the number 5, so it's going to be 4, then I want to automatically reorder another 6 or 7. Sorry, the reorder threshold if it falls below 5. There we go. And then I can say that I want to reorder another 5 of those to keep them in stock. So the minute that this number goes below 5, and it's going to be 4 now, it's going to reorder another 5 of these for me. The other option that you have on here is to say, I always want to keep a certain quantity of these in stock. So I'm going to wipe out all that information and say, keep on hand. I want to keep 10 of these in stock all the time. So then the program knows exactly how many you need to reorder the next time that you want this item. So some items you have to order in batches of certain quantity, other items you can order as you need. So this is the ability to order as you need. So I'm going to take that out of there, and I'm going to say that we want to reorder another 10 of these if it falls below 10, just so that I can have something that's triggered, so when we need to reorder this, it will do it. And the reorder quantity is going to be 5. But normally you wouldn't put in a higher number than what you have currently in stock. Moving down to the lower left corner of the screen, this is where you're going to identify who is the person that I'm purchasing this from. So if you have your companies listed in your contact file, then you can find them and say, what is the company that I want to order this from? And mine is the AV Art Supplies, or it could be Charming Prints, or whoever you're ordering this from. This is who, when you create the purchase order, it's going to be created for this company. As you go through and items are sold, they will be tracked on the right-hand side. So it'll let you know that when you received it, when it was first sold, previously sold, last sold, and it's going to let you know how many days it takes for this item to sell. And that's a great motivator to know, is this a fast-selling item or slow-selling item? It's just going to keep that information available for you. So for entering a retail product, that's the fastest, easiest way to enter one retail product. And it's in there and it's done. The other way that you may want to enter in retail products is that you may have a batch of them. So maybe you have them entered onto an Excel spreadsheet. In that case, you can use the button on the left-hand side that's called Add Products. And when you do that, you'll see that there is a screen already, very similar to an Excel spreadsheet, with a series of headings at the top. What you want to do then is you want to create an Excel spreadsheet that's going to have those headings in them. And I've done that already, and it's down here at the bottom of my screen. I'm just going to go back to the bottom of my screen so that I can see products. So this is the little sheet that I created in Numbers, or you can create it in Excel and save it. So you're going to see that it has the same column headings at the top of the screen. And then what I've done is I've saved it as an Excel file, and I'm going to import it into the retail products using that button. So I'm just going to minimize that. We'll get out of Numbers, and I want to come back to FrameReady. Now, on the FrameReady screen, I want to go back to the form view, which I can do either by clicking on one record, or I can click the form view button. And when I do that, the button for Add Products is available on the left-hand side of the screen. I click on the button, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on Import Records. And when I do that, it's going to ask me, where is that file that you have? And it's under my spreadsheets on the desktop. I've located the file. I'm going to click Open, and it needs to know two things. These may not be selected for you right at the start. You want to add new records, which should be selected. Don't import the first record because it's an Excel spreadsheet. And over here on the right-hand side, you want to make sure that it says matching names. And when it does that, it lines the fields up to say everything from the item number will be imported into the field called item number. All right, once you've done that, we're going to click OK. And all of those items are going to be imported in. It will tell you how many records it imported. So there were 3 that were imported, no errors, nothing that was skipped. So I'm going to click OK, and I can see the 3 items. Now the fields that are on here are the item numbers that we have for the product, and these were item numbers that they had previously. There's one item that has a UPC code, a description for everything, I've already identified the categories that they are going to go into, and it's really important to make sure that those categories match the existing categories that you have already. Because if I had one that said prints and now I import one that says print, I'm going to wind up with two categories, one for print, one for prints. So you want to make sure that this matches what you currently have. If you have a long list of items that are all prints or all pottery or all something, you can use the Enter Category button at the top of the screen to automatically fill all of those items on the list. The retail price is entered, your wholesale cost. If you have the artist name that you want to add into the record, you can do that. If you know the vendor ID number, you can add that in, or you can add that later. And for those ready-made frames or that you want to enter in, or photo frames, you can enter the width and the height. So I'm going to add those 3 products into FrameReady. Now that I've checked my list, I'm going to click on Export to Products, and it's going to automatically show you all 3 of those items are now in here. So the item that is a print is showing up with all of the information in here and who I'm ordering it from. The one thing that is not imported in is the quantity. And so I would need to go back in here to identify that I do have one of these prints and how many I have on hand of the silver frames and the other items. You may want to do that though from the inventory list view, so that as you're going through here, rather than scrolling through each product, then you can say how many do you have of each of these and put them into inventory that way. In order to leave this screen, you can either go back to the other list view in FrameReady or go to form view and see the one record in detail. The one that you're going to be viewing at this point, if I go back to form view, is the one that has the small black bar on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go back to other list view. So here we are at our list view. This is a little bit different than the art. So when I click on the ready-made frame, I'm going to click on that and show you that the ready-made tab is over on the right-hand side. And in here, this is where it is entered in the 11 by 14. The printed documents that are available here are listed on the left-hand side of the tab, and you could either print out a small, medium, or large insert to put into that ready-made frame. And let's go click on the small one. Oh, we'll click on the medium one. Here we go. So what it's done is it's put in the retail price, the description of it, and the information. Now, I must have missed putting my logo in there because the logo usually prints on this as well. So that's going to put your logo, your marketing on here rather than putting on somebody else's logo where you originally purchased it from. So it makes a nice clean design that you can have on all of your products. Moving back over to the pricing tab again, let's move back to one of the art pieces, because in the art piece, let's go back to the first one, the art piece, there's another tab here that you may want to fill in as well. And this is the artwork tab. On the artwork tab, you have the artist's name, and then down below that, if it is limited edition print, you can enter in the edition number to identify which one it is. There's also an option here on the right-hand side that says if you don't want to keep this, anything that has the edition number in here, if you don't want to keep it after it's sold, mark that box. And that means that when this item sells, it will be deleted from your product file. This item will no longer be in here. And that makes sense because if it's a limited edition print, you can't reorder another one, and there's no point in having all of them in your list, a listing of products you can't sell. So it's an option that you can turn on or turn off. The other thing that you need to know is that if I put anything in that field at all, if I type in a word and that box is checked, this product will be deleted when it is sold. So I'm going to uncheck that for the time being. There's also information in here that you can fill in for the date of art, the condition of the art, how it is, what condition it is when it came in, the size, the subject one. Subject 1 and subject 2 are great fields. You can customize these to be whatever you want. In my case, I've selected the style of art for subject 1, and then over in subject 2, these are the items that may appear in the art. So, and you can add to this, some people want to put colors in there, the dominant color, because people come in looking for that to go with their rooms and their ideas about how they want to design and decorate. So medium is what it's used, the art, how it's produced. So if this was an oil painting or a giclée or a watercolor, and then on ground, what it's printed onto, or painted onto, you can select those as well and have them show up. If this was something that we wanted to print out a certificate of authenticity for, the title of the piece would normally go into this space. And you know what, I'm just going to find another product to show you for this one. So I'm going to say find 103333. There we go. So this is an oil painting in here, and it has all the information filled out for the artist, the condition of the art, the authorship, signature, and all of this information can be filled in. If you want to print out a certificate of authenticity to be attached to the back of the frame, click the button for Print Certificate, and it will show you what the certificate will look like. If you have a digital image of the art imported into here, it will print that on there as well. There is a little guarantee listed in there. If you do need help editing that, let me know. Very similar to the instructions that I had on there for editing the consignment agreement, would be the same for editing the certificate of authenticity. So, and your information is down to the bottom, whoever is the signature person who's going to sign it and authorize it to say, yes, this is the piece by this artist, then you can do that. Increasing the value of the art. There we go. The other thing, information that's on here is if this is a print, it may have some media margins around it. And on the print, it may have a small area, but then it may have possibly, and let's go back to the other print that I was just on, Find All, last record. We're going to go back 3 records. There's our seascape. So if we knew that this was perhaps, let's say it's going to be 16 by 28, and the top amount of paper on this piece may be only 2 inches all the way around, but then it may have been having a lot more at the bottom, so 4 inches, or there could have been 4 inches on another side of the print. And what this will do for you is that when you go to frame this, if you have it turned on to warn you about the media margins, it's going to say if I try to put 2 inches of mat board all the way around this and that's it, then I'm going to have extra paper left over. So it's going to give you a warning to let you know that. If you have a certain design that you want to do and you say the white space, I want some white area to show up around here, and you've decided how much you want based on the image and the signature, this information will import into the work order screen when you go to frame this piece. So the next tab I want to show you, and just before we go to frame this, is the image tab. And under the image tab, we have an area where you can import a picture to be able to see it in the file. When you click on Add Photo, the small little button up here, there we go, then you'd be able to find an image. And if I decided even to put in that PDF of the prep, it's going to insert it in there. So you've got the image. I would warn you right now, or caution you perhaps, to say make sure that your images are small in size. You don't want to put a 5 megabyte or a 36 megabyte photo image in here. This is not the image that's going to be used for printing purposes. This is just for digital display, because you don't want to bog down your FrameReady software with large files. Store them someplace else on the computer. Just have a small image here. If you decide you don't want that image on there, you can click on the image, hit the backspace key or the delete key on your keyboard, and that will remove the image for you. There is a consignment feature here as well, and let's talk about putting consignment art in here, because if this was a consignment piece that we're going to be selling, and this is the artist who's going to be selling this piece, then the only thing that you really need to do for the consignment is up in the top right-hand corner, you want to click on the consignment button in the top. And now this is a consignment piece. And when it sells for $35, the amount that you are going to pay the artist is the amount in the wholesale field. So whatever the amount is over here, that is the amount that the artist will receive. The amount over here is what the item is selling for. There is another consignment tab here, and we'll cover that on another time. It's a little bit more extensive if you wanted to use it and print out agreements and other things with the artist, and perhaps there's agreements between you and the commission rate on anything that's framed for the art, and it gets very, very detailed. So we'll bypass that one for today and just stay with the simple way of doing it, which is mark the box for consignment, enter in what you're going to pay the artist and what the art is going to sell for. So let's go into, actually, let's go ahead and do one of our polls, Chrissy, and see if there are any questions before we move on to the next section.
Sure, I do have one question, and I'll pull up my poll first. Okay, so our question is, how do I add my logo to the title label? I'm not sure if you went over this while I was searching for some more information, but that's the question.
Nope, that's great. And the way that the logo should appear in there is that it will appear if you have added your logo into the main menu, setup data, the tab for logo. So I was kind of surprised to see that the logo wasn't on this version of FrameReady. And right now I'm using FrameReady 11.08. So I'm pretty sure, and anybody who has FrameReady 10, it's going to be on there automatically. And if you have maybe an earlier version of FrameReady 11, it should be on there. So I think that's one of those things I'm going to need to check. But all you need to do is put it into setup data, main menu, setup data, logo tab. And once it's in there, it's going to print automatically onto your ready-made insert.
And that's for the product label as well?
For the product label, no, sorry, that was the ready-made insert I was thinking of. So on the label screen, and we're going to be doing a whole webinar on labels, but I can show you one, I believe I can still move back here. Yeah, I'm going to go to the label file and go up to perform, restore full menus, because actually we didn't do that one yet. So in the label file, yeah, we can add it in there. And I was thinking that I showed this to you already, but we haven't even got to that part yet. That's great. So there's an art display label, number 11, and that will actually print your logo on there as well. So we'll be covering that in another webinar on how to, customize all the labels that are in here. But it's a container field. Yeah.
Oh, great. I'm going to close the poll now and see the results.
Excellent. There we go. Yeah, majority of people are selling art. And giftware is another one. Yeah. Art supplies, tours, merchant, and other. Oh, excellent. Lots of different things there that people are selling. Thank you, Chrissy. Yeah. That's great. Okay.
So just so everybody knows, when we are doing the polls, we let it run through until most people have voted, and then the screen will close and you can see us again.
Yes.
We just had some people questioning where we went, so we're back.
We're back. We're back. Yes, it's just while the poll is on that it does that. Yeah. So the question was about the logos. If you have setup data logo, your logo will appear on anything that you print out and hand to a customer. If it doesn't have your logo on, it's an in-house document, but the logo should have appeared automatically on the insert. And so it may have just been the insert that I selected, but it may have been, I don't know, maybe on the small one. No, so that's something we'll have to check on. Okay, so let's go and take a look at how this all coordinates with selling the art and either framing it or putting it onto an invoice, because there are two ways that you're going to do this. One is that you're going to frame something, and we're going to go back to the main menu. Customer walks in and they want to get a piece of the art that you have and frame it. So when I create a new work order, rather than, and I'm going to say that this is a vertical piece because the customer has it in front of me, I can see what it is, and it's art that you have in your store that is not framed, they want you to frame it. So instead of entering the width and the height and all of that information first, I'm going to go directly to the magnifying glass, and I'm either going to type in the description of the piece or enter in the number for it, the ID number that I have, or find it by the artist's name. And when I do the search, it should find the item and automatically enter it in. So it's put the information in here as well as the information for the width and the height, the white space that I've automatically selected and said that I want. And you'll see in the top right-hand corner that the framing component is separate from the art. And in most cases, when we click on options here, if you were to give them a discount, it does not apply to the art. Unless you decide that you want the discount to apply to the art, then you must select this box on the right-hand side. in order to give them the discount and have it applied to the art. But we're not giving it out to any discounts today, so we're going to go down here and say that we want to continue with the framing of the piece. And then once you've entered in all of the components to frame the piece, basically you're finished, and you're going to identify who it is that's purchasing it. And we'll say Mary is purchasing this. Okay, and then you can post it to an invoice. Once you've done that and we post it to the invoice, I'm going to say post only. Okay, and you'll see that the art is listed separately on the invoice as the print, and then there is the framing. And I believe that they had, oh, sorry, the art is listed first and the print. No, sorry, the work order is listed first and the art is second, because it does say framing of the item, and I've got it set up to also show the outside dimensions. And then we could automatically do a payment. You'll notice that there's 15% off on this, and that's because the customer is a discounted customer. So there's lots of ways to discount in the program. I'm going to bypass, I'll take a payment right now for the customer, and they're going to pay for this by Visa, and we'll say done. If we wanted to print out a copy of the invoice, if there was, if I had selected that I wanted the digital image of this to appear on the invoice, then it would show up on the left-hand side. The place that I would go to select that is on the main menu. On the main menu, in the options section here for invoices, when we go down to more options, we now have the print options available to us. And there's a couple of things. Include the work order image to appear on there, yes, and then include the product image to appear on there, on the invoice. And so that's both of those, both the work order and the invoice. So as long as you have an image of that item in there, it will appear on the invoice. If there's no image, then it appears just as it normally does. The next thing that you may want to do is that you may have a print that's in stock and you want to frame it. So if we go back to the work order screen, I'm going to click new work order. And once again, I'll just say vertical, and I'm going to go pull that same piece out. And rather than looking up the same way, I can say evening, and I know it's song, but if all I remembered what it was, that it was evening, it would show it on the list. So there's the evening song, and there are several other evening songs on there that are pre-framed and hanging in the gallery and available for sale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that same print, and this time I'm going to frame it for the gallery to sell it. So if it's in here for the gallery to sell, then I want to create a new ID number for it if it's a regular print, and that's what this is. It's not a limited edition print, it's a regular print. So this is the ID number for the print that is not framed. But because I'm going to create it to be hanging in the gallery, I'm going to get a new ID number for it. And all I needed to do was fill out the lower portion of the work order. I don't even have to fill out the top portion. You could put the word gallery in there if you want. You don't have to. FrameReady is going to do it for you automatically. But on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's that same periwinkle purple button, okay, that says Convert Update on the left-hand side of the screen, same color as the products file. And when I click on that, it knows that there's an ID number in there for the art that came from the product file, and it says, do you want to update this product to a framed item? And I'm going to say Update, yes. Do you want to print out a product label for this? And I'm going to say yes to show you what it looks like. As I said, I think we have nicer ones in the label file, but if you're stuck in a pinch and you want to make sure you get it printed out, then you can do that directly at the time of creating the work order. So now that I've done that and it's put the gallery in there, you can see that it has a different ID number on it. And I'm just going to jot that number down so that I know how to find it, because I want to go back to the products file. And in the products file, what I'm going to do, oh, there it is already, show you how it turned out. So we have the wholesale cost of the framing, the retail price of the framing, the wholesale cost of the art, the framing of the art, and then the total amount. So all of these things are in here, the art, the framing, and the retail price. It even has the work order that it's attached to, so that if I wanted to go back to look at that work order, I can just click the go button and we go directly back. It says that it's part of the gallery, so that if I was to go to the contacts file and take a look at all the items that the gallery has for sale over here, you'll see that it's listed as one of them. So this is a listing of everything that's in the gallery. The first record in the contact file is yours. Never give it away. It has a different ID number than all of the other contacts that are in your list, which means that it can do things that other records cannot do. And this is one of those magic things that it can do. So now we have this retail product, and I'm going to make up a label for it. So if I click on the label icon and I enter in just that number for this specific label, or I could print labels for a whole batch of items all at once. And where do I want to start on the page? If I've already used up the first label, I could go to the second one or the third one or whichever. And I'm going to use the art display card, which is number 11. And when I click print, it's going to print out one label for me, showing me the title of the piece, the artist's name, what it's selling. If I wanted, I could have put the medium and ground on there as well. There's my logo that you were asking about, having the logo print on here. And there's the address for me and the ID number. So when I print this out, I'm going to attach it to the back of the art, or this is actually going to print onto a business card size, and you can break the cards apart and have them displayed in the front of the art as well. So lots of different options for you when creating these lists and the labels. If I wanted to, let's go back and say start over. I'm going to go back to the products file and say that I wanted to print out a list of all the new items that I just put in here. And I could say find everything that was entered in here today or created today. And I did have that one that I was created today and the others that imported. So there's a list of items, and I want to print a label out for each one of these items. Then I would go to the label file and I would say import all of those items from the products file. So down at the bottom, where do you want to start the labels? I'll say we'll start at label number 1, and then maybe this time we'll pick a different label. We'll say we're going to use label number 4. It's a little bit smaller, and when we print those out, you'll see that it's going to give just the item, the description, and the price for it. So it depends on what merchandise you're selling. You may want to have smaller sales items for jewelry and small cards, that sort of items, larger ones for your art. So let's go back to the products file. We have this piece that is available for sale. We've created a label for it, and there it is. Okay, it's in the gallery on display. We have one on hand. But now a customer came in several days later and said, I really like this piece and they want to buy it. You do not need to go to the work order at all. The only thing that you need to do now is create a new invoice. And when you click on new invoice, we're going to enter in that number, and you can either use the barcode scanner to scan it in or type it in, or again, you can use the description or find it by artist. Any of those will work. So this is a person who's purchasing this piece. I'm going to put their name on the file, and I'm going to say that this is Jim, okay? And I'm going to say that it's Jim Taylor. He's my favorite person to work with on demos. So we're going to say enter a payment, and he's going to pay for this by MasterCard. And I'm going to print out a copy of the invoice for him. And again, this one didn't have an image, so it's not showing the image on the invoice. So let's go back. And now the nice thing about this is that Jim Taylor is the person who purchased this piece. If I go back to the product file, it's going to say that that piece has been sold, it's gone. Okay, but it's also part of the related work order. And if I go to that work order that was labeled that it's a gallery piece and I click on it, now it has Jim's name on it because Jim's the one who purchased it. And FrameReady did all of that in the background. So this is now listed on Jim's record in the work order screen, so that if I go there, he's the one who had the evening song that I should have marked as completed at one point, apparently, when it was framed. So Jim purchased the evening song, and it's now part of his purchase history. So FrameReady did that all behind the scenes for you once you created the invoice and sold that product to him. The other thing that you can do on the work order screen is that a lot of times you'll have some scrap molding left over and you want to make your own ready-made frames. So I'm going to click on new work order. I'm going to select this is maybe a vertical piece. It's going to be 11 by 14. And I'm going to put in a discontinued molding number. I had one in here before. and we had some scrap left over that we wanted to sell. And I'm just going to take some of these things off. Certainly not going to put museum glass on it. I'm just going to put some premium clear on here. And this is going to be an 11 by 14 oak wood frame. So whatever description you want to put in there, go ahead and do that. But I'm going to use that same periwinkle purple button over on the left-hand side that says Convert Update. And this time it says there is no product number entered for this item. Please select before attempting to update. Oops, let me leave that blank. My mistake, sorry. Let's click on that. Are you sure you want to convert this to a work order to a product? And I'm going to say Convert. Okay, and it fills the information in for me automatically. You don't even need to do that. So it's going to put in there whatever the size of the frame is. It's got the dimensions over here. If I wanted to add that in for the ready-made frame, print out and insert, and away we go. And then it's created this item for it. Also has the wholesale cost, which is exactly the wholesale cost on it. Now there's one of the things that I should have showed that to you before I left the screen, because once I do click on that Convert Update button for a ready-made frame, the work order is gone. It's done. It was just for the pricing to be able to put that item into here. The art stays on the work order, okay, but the ready-made frames, they are removed from the work order screen. So that's the way that you work with that. Okay, so I probably should find at least one of the items. One of the things that you can do too in here is with a number of different print documents, and I wanted to show you at least one of the ones that has the image on it so you can see how it appears on the invoice. But the other thing that you can do is, and there's the link, the handout for this, is creating a bridal registry. Because you could do let me do a find for all of the marked items I have here. So if a bride and groom are going through and they're finding different items in your store that they would love to have somebody purchase for them, then you can mark those items, and that's what the marked box is for on the left-hand side. If there was something that they didn't want, then you could uncheck that and it would not be on the list. But then I would say find the marked records, okay? And I would go to the form view. And there's two different things you could print out. One is a text directory, which just has, for found set here, go ahead and sort it out by item number, sure. And then this is just a listing of the items. And then you can put the bride and groom's name at the top, put it in your file and file it away. And now if the bride and groom came in, the other people know what the bride and groom would like to purchase. The other option is to use the image directory. And if you use that one, then it will actually put the images all on the screen as well. So that if people are wondering what the pieces are, a little bit more detail about them, and they're thinking that they'd like to purchase it, then all you need to do is if it's sold, cross it off, say this one is sold, and then if somebody else comes in to buy something, then you can say, yeah, that piece is already gone, but they have another selection of other pieces that they would like. And as I said, put the bride and groom's last name on here, Smith Jones, Wilson Peters, and keep it on file so that everybody knows where it is if somebody comes in to make a purchase for them. So it's just another way for you to sell. Another way for you to sell too is that if you have those items that people do like, in the contacts file under the group details, there's a place where people can have a wish list. And if there are certain items that they would like to purchase, then you could say, yeah, I want to find everybody who likes this one specific vase. And under the group details, it's 103388, I think. There we go. And all these people like this. So now I can send an email out to all of them, letting them know that this vase is on sale, it's on their wish list, and if they would like to come in and purchase it, they can. So it's just another way for you to be able to market. And that's under the group details, and you could identify the items that are on the wish list. If they do come in and they purchase it, then you can remove it from the wish list, or if they decided they didn't want it anymore. And there's other tips too on the wedding registry about how you can track that in FrameReady using the group details and other notes that are in here. So Chrissy, we're going to take just a little break again, and you have another poll that we can run and we can check and see if there are any more questions.
Sounds good. We do have a couple questions. So
Okay.
let me just start this poll. And our first question went back to the first part of the session you were talking about, and
Okay.
she was asking instead of using Excel to upload documents, can you use Google Spreadsheets?
I haven't tried it with Google Spreadsheets. I know that you can use a CSV file and a few others. I would say give it a try, see if it will work. If not, you might be able to convert the Google Spreadsheet into another format that is usable.
And I have another one. I would like to use the convert for, I don't know if I'm saying this right, the Giclées.
Giclée, yeah. Okay.
After we, but they don't want to frame yet. I'm concerned that a category of framed, that word, would be confusing. Could we change the automatic category after the convert or update?
Yes, after it's converted, if you want to remove the word framed from it, you can. Or if you want to change the word framed to something else, you can do that. You can change the category afterwards. You can change any of the categories at any time. And I know with some people, that's one of the cleanup things that they need to do, is that they need to do a find on everything that's misspelled or somebody typed it in incorrectly. But when you are creating a new product, it's really easy just to use the drop-down list rather than typing into the field. And if you click the first letter of the name, it should automatically go down to that section so that you can find it.
Okay. What size business card labels does FrameReady use for product price tags?
Okay, so it was designed for the Avery business cards, and it's 8 of them on a sheet, or 8 or 10 of them on a sheet, and it has the removable portion on the outside edge where you bend the paper and break them all apart. Those are the ones that it was using. It's the standard business card size. But the other labels are the Avery 5160 and 7 and 5160. And if it's a laser print, it's going to be 8160. So they're basically the standard address label and the standard return address label. And the return address label is really small. It's about 1/2 inch by maybe 1 1/4 inches. And then the address labels are about 1 inch by maybe 2 inches. So yeah, those are the standard layouts that we have in there.
I do have 2 more questions, but I'm going to close the poll and show the results.
All right. Oh, okay.
There's the result.
Okay, excellent. And 11 to 20. Okay, yeah. Super. Wow, okay, that's great.
Hide that. And then I just want to go over these last 2 questions, okay?
Yes.
This one, can Carol review how to print a product label again if there's time?
Okay.
And the last one is, so it sounds like the way you have just described would be the best way for me to enter all the framed art we have hanging on the wall for sale.
Right, yes. So 2 ways of doing that. Let me go back into FrameReady too, because I didn't even talk about the limited edition prints in here. There is a button that if you have a series of limited edition prints and you enter in one of them, then what you can do is, and you've got all the information in there. Let me just go find one of those limited edition prints. There's a button that will allow you to enter a group of them all at once. So let's say we picked up another one of these summer sunsets, and we have number 143 to 150. So then what I would do is, once I've entered all the information in here that I want, including who I'm ordering it from, then I would go to duplicate series and enter an artist first. Okay, let's go put in, oh gosh, yeah, Edna Jones, there we are. Okay, and then I'm going to click on a duplicate series. And the supplier's been entered, yes. I love the way that FrameReady does the error trapping so that I'm not missing things. ABC, art supply, there we go. Okay, now we can. So the first number that we have in there is the number that was already entered in, and then I can say I need to have another 8 added in here. So I'm going to say run, and then FrameReady automatically created those for me without me having to retype them. If you've got another large group of things that you need to add in, you want to use that Add Products button. However, the other thing that you can do is that if I added, let me go find all, list view. We're going to go back to some of the other things in here. So I had a blue vase, but I also have a green one and I have a red one. So what I want to do is I just want to duplicate this record. Okay, it's given it a new number, and now I have a red one that's also available, and I'm going to do the same thing, duplicate the record, and I also have a green one that's available. So I have all three of those vases in there now. They were all the same price. I had the same quantity that I received, and I'm basically done with that. Those are the easiest ways to enter those things in. So there's a couple of other printed documents, and you did ask about the labels. If I was going to be printing just one label, then I could copy that label number and go into the product file and paste it in here. And if I needed more than one of those labels, I could change that, change the number that I'm needing and the start position where it's going to start. And then when I go to print, it's going to print them out, skipping the first two, but it printed out the quantity of them that I need to attach. And as I said before, the other way was to import it from the products file. And the nice thing about if you do use the import from the products file, what it will do is whatever the quantity is in your list view, if we go to the inventory list view and we take a look, and those items that I'm going to print out, it would automatically print out 5 of this, 5 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this. So it knows based on the quantity how many you need when you're printing it based on the importing, using the mass group to go in there. The other thing that you may want to print out for if you have artists listed in your file, and I would say that you should have them in your contact file, any of the artists that you were dealing with. So let's go perform find, and here are all the artists that I have, because you may want to print out the artist's bio to go onto the back of the piece. So in here, there's a tab for artists, and if we click on that, it's going to give you the birthplace, date of birth, biography, about all of this information that you could fill in about the artist, including a digital image, and then click on print artist bio, and that will give you a document that you can attach to the back of the art as well. The other thing that people have used this for is if it isn't an artist that you're dealing with, they've actually taken pictures of their top customers. And customers don't mind that, because now it helps new staff to be able to recognize those people when they walk in the door and say, let's find our top 10 customers. You should know their faces. You should know their names. Because framing and custom picture framing is all about a people industry and what we do with people and for people. So that's the artist one. The other one that I want to show you as well is, let's go sell a piece of consignment art, because if you do work with consignments, this is going to be handy for you. Find all of the consignment art that's in my program right now. And I know that I wanted to go and sell a few of those. So I'm going to go to the invoice file. Customer just came in and they wanted to purchase some of the consignment art. If I had it barcoded, that would be so easy, and I would just scan the number in for each one of these pieces that I'm selling right now. But, or as I said, you can look them up by the customer name and do that. But we've got several different pieces that we've sold by a couple of different artists, and I'm going to enter in the customer's name. The other thing that happens is when I've entered in a customer's name, and I'm going to say, let's go for Mary Winson. Because I've entered her name in here from Charming Prints, now it's going to identify on her record that she likes artwork by this particular artist and this particular artist. And that's going to be added onto her record in the contacts file. So I'm just going to take a payment here, Visa, and we'll say done. Okay, click done. All right, we're going to go back to Mary's record because we're looking at Mary right now. It's automatically going to go to her record. And over here on the left-hand side is a listing of any artist she has ever purchased from us. If I wanted to do some marketing on this and a new one of these artists came out with a new piece, then I can say find everyone who likes the artwork by this particular artist. Okay, perform find, and she's the only one. If there was more than that, it would be in a list view. So everybody who's purchased art from that artist will be in that list view, and now I can send an email out, I can print a letter, I can do some sort of marketing, print out address labels, attach them to postcards of the art of the event, and letting them know that I have this piece of art and I've got some great framing ideas since they like this artist. So now that we've sold some pieces for consignment, I want to go to the sales reports. And in the sales reports, there are a number of different reports that you can do. One is just based on artist, customer, supplier, all of those things. But we're going to look at the artist one. And when you click on artist, there's the invoice date. And I'll just say anything from the 1st of July up to today. And if I wanted just one particular artist, I could select their name from the list. Or if I wanted to know all the consignment art that's sold during that time, I would just simply mark the consignment box. And I'm going to select proceed, and then I want to select with page breaks so that each artist is going to have their own page. So here's the one for the Bev Doolittle. I've just made her name up as a consignment artist. I know she isn't really, but this shows everything that's sold and the total of the retail and then what I need to pay her for the piece that's sold. And it goes through each of the different artists. So there's Bill Carpenter, there's Carol Graham. So each one of them has their page showing how many pieces sold, what were the title of the pieces that sold, what do I pay the artist for each one of them, and then the total amount. I can either mail this as a check, I can print these out as PDFs and email it to the artist with an e-transfer, however you pay your artist. But this is great. A lot of the artists will also ask if you've got art from them to say, what have I currently got in your premises, on premises with you right now? So use the find product button to find those items, to say anything that I have from a particular artist. So I'm going to select the artist's name. I might also just say that I want to make sure that there is something in hand. So I would look for that as well. And then perform find, and it's going to give me a listing of everything that I have in here. So I could also have said, I don't want to find the ones that I don't have. If you see -1 in your quantity of inventory at all, that is because you had a quantity of 0 and when you sold it, and or some of the things that I do is because I'm playing with the program a bit, I'll sell the same piece a couple of times and I haven't taken it out of inventory. So you do want to go find all those things that are blank or don't have a quantity in them, and if you want to reorder them, you can. If you don't need them, then you can delete them. There's no point in keeping things in your product file that you can't sell. The other thing is make a backup. And at the end of the year, you definitely want to make a backup of your program. There's certain reports you want to print out for your inventory controls and inventory quantity, and you can do that from the inventory list. And that will probably be another webinar that we'll be covering on how to order your supplies, how to reorder items, how to keep quantities in track, and do more marketing. But this was just a basic snapshot of a lot of the things that you can do in the product file, and we'll probably be doing more on this file in the future. Chrissy, are there any other questions?
Yes, I have one last question. So it says, can we set up the consignment as a percentage of the total sales retail?
Okay, so, and I think that was where I had mentioned before that we're not able to go backwards on this, so that if you have retail here, you can't go backwards to say it's going to be a percentage. There is a field over here, which we'll be able to use on another time, so that if it is the retail price is going to be $100 and the consignment amount is $30, so then it would calculate out if it's 30% or 25% of whatever the amount is that the retail price is. So there is a way to calculate it out, but unfortunately, right at this point in time, this number up here does not automatically populate the field over here. And that is one of the things that I had asked them if they would do that. So thank you everyone for attending the webinar. We appreciate your time. As I said, you will be receiving a copy of the webinar after the event, so you can watch it, and we will post it also on our website in the future. But first of all, you'll get a copy of it tomorrow, and anybody who signed up to attend but didn't actually attend will receive it as well. So thank you. Bye.